Welcome back to my channel. Leopard is all the rave this summer. In today's tutorial, I'm gonna cover 4 different ways on how I achieve my leopard look. I love leopard. Leopard reminds me of summer. Leopard is sexy. It breaks up color, it breaks up pattern. It adds lots and lots of character to your tumblers and it gives it a flirty little flair. So I'm gonna be showing you how I achieve this look in 4 different styles. Hang with me, let's go. So for cup number 1, this style is the vinyl technique. For this cup, I chose the Hog 20-ounce push top bottle. And the design I downloaded from the Etsy shop, Bear Trends Designs. You can find them all in the description below. I went ahead and prepped this with my metal priming paints, mixed 1 part of my pinup, 1 part of my maybe. I did a couple coats of that just to get a real nice pink look. And then I used my Mr. NOLA glass coat epoxy and I put a couple dashes of my PAAS Easter egg dusted in there to give it a nice sparkle shine and to add more of that pink in there. So from here, I want to go ahead and put it on a turner, but I'm not gonna put it on your traditional turner. I'm gonna use my Treasure Trove turner. It's a prepinator. This is a nice little gadget to have that'll help you keep it straight. So to peel your vinyl, I'm gonna pull out my trusty little needle nose tweezers. These are on my site, as well as my vinyl weeding pin. These always come in handy when I'm trying to get those pesky little pieces rather than using my nails and bending the vinyl. Generally what I do is I start off with my big pieces first and I keep turning my piece throughout the sticking process. And then I go through my middle pieces and I'll randomly place those and then I'll try to save my tiny pieces for those big spots, those blank spots that are left. So that's where this turner comes in handy. It will let you see the cup as a whole and visualize where you're missing your spots. But I generally like to go big, medium, small, and then fill it in with the small pieces. I try to stay as true to the pattern as possible, but I think with the size and with the curve and everything, I kind of toss it to the wind and I just kind of make my own pattern. But you can also do this if it's like a straight edge, you can just do it with a transfer tape and call it a day. But I kind of find some fun in placing it randomly throughout. And it's just as easy as that. You just basically just pull it off your sheet and you stick them down. Okay, I think that'll do it. I think she looks pretty good. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go give her a nice clean coat of epoxy. My favorite Mr. NOLA. Here we go. The hand glittered leopard tumbler. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you how I did it on this doozy from Makerflow. What I did here was give it a nice sand, use one of my teal sprays that I had laying around, and I used my Mr. NOLA using the epoxy method to throw down some fancy on it. So that's basically it. I just used the epoxy method to give it a single color glitter coat. I'm gonna put my insert in and I'm gonna use my arm because I don't own a Treasure Trove arm for this one yet, but I will get one. And my fancy little brush here. And I'm gonna grab my number 5 and my G-Wagon because I'm gonna mix these together. I'm using my metal priming paint because I do want that metallic shine, but this is a little too yellow for me, so I'm gonna darken it up with my G-Wagon and make it a bronzier, browner, kind of brassier look for that gold tone that I want to shine on that spot. Make sure you mix it up real good. Metal priming paints are great for whenever you don't want to spray paint your cups, whenever it's too hot or too cold outside or it's raining outside. I do have a line of different colors to give you that bottom base look. It is a great alternative to spraying your cups. You can dye them with the alcohol inks, you can add pigments, you can add pigment powders to them. Lots and lots and lots of different options there. Okay, let's grab our Texas two-step. This is a gold that I offer in my vault line. First things first, we're just gonna make our spots. This is our bottom spot. And I'm gonna take my brush, dip it, and I'm just gonna start blotting. I'm not making a perfect circle. I'm just kind of blotting little bean-shaped circles. And the key to this is not having your circles too close together. So spacing is kind of what I like to keep in mind, because remember, you're gonna have to put your black on top of that, and the black will take up some room and dump the glitter. I try to do them 3 at a time so that the paint doesn't dry. This metal priming paint tends to dry a little quickly. And once again, I'm just blotting. I'm not choked up on the brush too much. I kind of want to have like a little bit of looseness on there to let the circles and the spots be as abstract as possible, not to have too much control of it. Don't forget the bottom of your cup. As long as I've been making cups, I still sometimes forget the bottom of the cup. I know. And then I'm gonna take a little brush and dust off some of the glitter. I could wait for this to dry and just brush it all off, but I wanna save some of this glitter and put it back in my jar. And because I'm a little OCD, I don't wanna wait that long. I want to see kind of what it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna take a little brush and kind of dust it off here. All right, so if you wanna speed this process along and you don't wanna wait for your gold to dry, I generally pull out a little blow dry here on some medium heat, and it will help your priming paint speed up the drying process. So I'll just hit it here lightly and let it dry. I do this all the time whenever I'm wanting to hurry up and put a first base color, or if I'm wanting to get something dry before I move on to the next step. My priming paints work really well with warm heat. I wouldn't use a heat gun. I'm not sure that high of a temperature would be safe for your epoxy. Definitely a blow dryer will do the trick to get your priming paints dry. Now I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit more, get off some of this gold, and then I'll probably hit it one more time with my blow dryer before I move on to my black. Stiletto is the black priming paint that I offer in my line of metal priming paint, so I won't have to mix this up or darken it. It is the blackest black that I offer. RISQUE is the fine black that I offer. It's a matte black. Let's go ahead and pour some of this out, because this is what we're gonna use on top of the stiletto to make our black spots. Very sparkly, I love it. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our black. All I'm doing is I'm tracing the outline. I'm not picking a specific spot. I'm just going and following the outer edge of one of my gold circles, or random shaped circles. So I'll start on the edge of one, I'll go about halfway around, and then I'll meet the other side. I'm not going to fully encase the circle. I'm just going to kind of leave it open on one side or on two sides, but I'm going to definitely trace around at first. Then I'll come and I'll make my adjustments. And same concept with this as the gold part. You want to make sure that you are dumping your black very quickly, because this priming paint will start to dry and you don't want to have any glittered spots that didn't catch. So let's go ahead and let's dump, shake and dump, shake and dump. Don't worry about the black getting anywhere, because we're going to go ahead and we're going to dust that off as soon as we finish all our spots. We'll go ahead and we will clean it up and fine tune it real nice at the very end. If I see a wide open spot, I'm just gonna throw a random black spot down on there. That gives it a more realistic look. I'm not so much caught up in trying to fill in every single space. I can always come back later and I can do that. I can add more gold, I can add more black, I can add just solid black. This is very forgiving, so we're not gonna get caught up in fine tuning just yet. We're just laying down our spots, shaking on the glitter and dusting it off at the very end. Once you have your spots down the way you want them and they're all fully glittered, dried, take it out, give it a couple seals, then you throw it on the turner, give it 1 or 2 coats and you're done. You can apply your decal, and I'd say she's a beauty. Now, for the third technique, we have the full wrap. Looking at this with the naked eye, it looks like you have a straight edge cup. However, the 20-ounce skinny has a slight taper. So just knowing a little bit about your cup, you will have an easy time wrapping this guy. I'm gonna show you a few simple tricks and tips on how to get a full wrap, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's do it. I got this leopard printed shelf paper here off of Amazon. It's a huge roll. It's super simple. It's super chic, super sexy. And there's plenty of it. And on the back, you have a little built-in ruler here. We're just gonna use this as our guide. This 20-inch from Hog is tapered. So what I do is I give myself an inch working space. I'm gonna allow myself 1/2 inch on the top, 1/2 inch on the bottom to wiggle, okay? And then we're gonna trim it. I'll show you how I do that here as we work along. Let's go ahead and let's cut our vinyl using our guides right here. Nice and easy. And yes, I am using the NMO rose gold shears. Aren't they sexy? Lay it out. Let's put our cup on there. Kind of see how much space we got there. And then we're going to wrap her and see where her edge meets. Let's see, that's where that seam meets right there. And I'm going to kind of eyeball it because we're going to trim it off later. And I'm going to just use my lines right here, nice and easy, and just like butter, cut off this excess. There we go, bam. That's gonna go in our cup, ta-da. I turn her sideways and I peel off one side of my vinyl. The trick here is I fold down just a little piece so that way I can just get one piece on at a time and roll it as I go. And we're gonna work our way through and pull out the vinyl backing little by little. To make sure you don't get your air bubbles, you're gonna push from the inside out. Inside out, and you're slowly gonna walk it, but from the inside out, just like that. Rub it from the inside and out. So far, so good. We got this. Keep on creasing so the whole sticker backing doesn't come off. And it's not so overwhelming. And you can always just peel it back up. Now this is shelf paper liner. If you are working with permanent adhesive, it might be a little bit more stickier and it might be a little harder to pull back up. Make sure you're pulling your adhesive very tight. That'll keep the bubbles out, and you are walking it out as you pull the backing off of your vinyl, pushing out any air bubbles from the middle out. And that's it. There you have it. You have a fully wrapped, bubbleless vinyl tumbler. Now find your seam, because somewhere in there is a line where it overlapped and you're gonna cut it. This is tricky, but we're gonna run a straight edge along that line just to kind of get a feel for where that seam is. And I'll run my fingernail or I'll run a popsicle stick or whatever it is that I have nearby just to kind of make like a valley right there and make a ditch in there somewhere, just so that I can run my blade along that edge when it's time to cut. So I want to make sure that I have a nice indentation, and I'll run it over and over and over and over again, because nothing will mess up your vinyl like an overcut. Okay. Now I'm just going to trim off the excess right here on the bottom. And you just go around the cup and trim it off. And I'll show you how we get the rest of this edge nice and cleaned up. So now is the do or die moment. Now that line, that ditch that you made in your vinyl, now it's time to run your blade along that side. So go really slow. You don't want to lose a finger, and you don't want to slip and make a huge gash in your vinyl. So take it really slow, not too much pressure. Cut along that seam. Now it's time to pull up and reveal your clean edge. Now, don't get excited and rip it up. Take it nice and slow. Vinyl will tear if you have a snag. So slowly lift up your vinyl just in case you have to retrim it. Voila, so satisfying. Press it on down. Here's where I pull out my handy dandy cup trimmer. This is from Wicked Shimmer Supply. This is gonna be your savior right here because it will give you that nice, clean, trimmed edge. So check them out. I have several of these. I've given several of these away. They are a great tool to have in your shop. Go get it. When you are using your cup trimmer, make sure that you're pressing very firmly up against the blade, but make sure that you are very careful. Don't slip because you will cut your fingers. There's your first edge, nice and clean. Now your bottom edge, again, super slow. We don't need trips to the emergency room. Voila. Fabulous. I will go ahead and put a nice coat of epoxy to finish this off, 2 coats to be exact, and a nice trim of black vinyl to break up the silver from my pattern and call it a day. And now for my final trick. We will do the acrylic freehand style. Don't worry, this is gonna be super easy. I'm gonna pull out a 30-ounce skinny tumbler from Hog and base coat it with a winter gray from Montana Spray Paints. These spray paints are amazing. They have great coverage, great color, and they spray very matte, so it's gonna work hand in hand with my acrylic base paints. The 2 colors that I have in my acrylic line are a white and black. They're very highly pigmented. They can be used as a spray. They can be used as an ink. They are very, very highly concentrated and they go very far. I'm using 2 different paint brushes, both with a rounded tip for that nice round stroke. We won't be using a turner for this one or an arm. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this one right on my hand and spin it as I need. It's pretty big, and it's wide enough for me to just twirl on my wrist. For easy application, I'm just gonna go ahead and work out of a medicine cup and squirt out what I need. If I need any more, I'll go ahead and add more, but just for purposes of neatness, we'll work straight from these medicine cups. And just like with the glitter technique, I'm just gonna start off with my white and make random little circles and make blots here and there and grow them as this paint does dry very quickly. If you see little bubbles popping up, because the paint is very thin, just go ahead and blow on them and they'll come right out. Once you have all your white spots laid down, I did go ahead and wait for this one to dry. I came back in with a second coat just to make sure that they were very, very, very white. And then once that was dry, I'm gonna come in with my black and I'm gonna do the same technique as I did with my glitter and make the final look for my black to create that leopard spot. Only this time we're going to turn our paintbrush from side to side and we're going to do a zigzag motion. Put it on my nifty difty little drying rack, let it dry, or you can sit it in front of a fan. So rather than doing a traditional leopard spot, I want to kind of give it a little flirty flair, and I'm going to wispy it and kind of make it a little different. We're gonna do the wild leopard for this one. All I'm doing here is using the tip of my brush and swiping it back and forth in a zigzag motion, kind of like giving your spots hair. And all I'm doing is just twirling it on my hand, and as I go, I will make little black marks in the voids here in the area to make it more realistic of just plain black. This was definitely fun and has become one of my favorite go-to hand leopard techniques. Before you go and put your final layer of epoxy, make sure your acrylic is nicely sealed. I would let it sit for about 2 hours in front of a fan just to make sure you don't have any globs that have laid on super thick. You want to make sure it's dried through and through. Once you've done your 1-2 final coats, I'd say you can put your decal on there and it's done. How do you like that? Here's the wrap up. Leopard 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one was your favorite? Which one are you gonna try first? That was it. That's all we got for you, folks. Those are the 4 simple ways that I like to do it. Maybe we can explore different ones next time. Until then, have fun playing with those 4 techniques. Show me what you got. Tag me in your photos. I want to see on your Instagrams. Have fun. You know where to find me. All the materials used in this tutorial here can be found in the description of this video. And enjoy your tumbler making. Bye.